Aloha! Welcome to Reverend Jimmy Kimmel Live. You might think I'm Jimmy Kimmel, but I'm not Jimmy Kimmel. I'm Jason Schwartz, and I'm your co-host, Reverend Jimmy Kimmel.
Aloha, Jason.
Where did you get that name?
I was born with it.
You know, there's a guy that's out on TV who's using your name, and he's been using it a while.
Yeah.
But I think we're going to reclaim that real estate.
He's been giving me a bad name, I hear.
No, I think he's okay, but he's sometimes he thinks he's funnier than you.
Oh.
You know,
It'd be fun to meet him.
Well, you know, you guys have a common friend, you know.
Oh.
You know Willie Nelson?
Yes,
You know Willie?
Right. Yeah, of course.
Well, Willie's been telling us we should have Jimmy Kimmel on our show. I think now is a good time, right now, to invite Jimmy Kimmel live to the Reverend Jimmy Kimmel Live show. What do you think?
Good idea. Why not?
You know, this show is something that we have done recorded, and we have now done, more than 20 shows.
Right.
And Reverend Kimmel has been doing reading of the Urantia book. Many of you, Urantia, U-R-A-N-T-I-A, you'll see it up on our screen, you'll see images and such. The Urantia book was a book that came to us. When did it come to us, and how did that come upon?
Well, it came to us in 1934 and 1935. As far as the authors of the book convened on our planet in those years and put it into the English language.
So this was a bunch of people that got together?
Not people. These were superhuman personalities, celestial personalities, different orders of celestial beings.
And all this is in the beginning of the book. It kind of explains where it comes from and all that.
Yeah, there's an index. There's an index that shows the titles of the papers and the authors of the papers.
I see.
And so,
how many papers are there?
196.
190. This is a thick book. It's sort of like War and Peace. How many? Lots of pages. 1,000, right? Easy?
2,096.
Ooh, okay. So
like the first paper is titled The Universal Father, and its author is a divine counselor. So as you go down the list of authors, there's a perfecter of wisdom, a universal censor, one high in authority. Excuse me, one high in authority, mighty messenger. So now, as I'm looking, I see you have a section 1, there's a section 2, part 2. Right. So it's, what, four parts? It's a 4-part book.
Okay.
Sometimes I describe it as a 3-layer cake, and part 4 is the frosting.
So, part 1 is about what?
Part 1 is all about the universe of universes, the central and the super universe were...
creation of the universe?
Yeah. Well, the layout of the universe, where God's at.
I see. Yeah. And what's the second paper about?
The second part. The second part is about the local universe that we're in, out on the edge of the Milky Way galaxy.
Okay. And then the third part is?
The third part is the history of our world.
Of Earth, Urantia?
Yes, of Urantia. That's the name of our world.
And part 4 is?
Part 4 is the life and teachings of Jesus.
The icing, as you say. Let me ask you a question, because, you know, you've been Reverend Jimmy Kimmel a long time. Before you were Reverend Jimmy Kimmel, you were a scientist and a botanist and involved in nuclear. Tell us a little about that.
Well, I spent about 10 years in the nuclear weapons testing frontier as an ecologist, a plant ecologist, studying the ecological effects of nuclear weapons testing out in the Marshall Islands.
I see.
And then later at the Nevada test site and elsewhere.
And you were a fully devout Christian?
I was a hardcore atheist.
An atheist?
Hardcore atheist.
And you're not an atheist now, though, right?
No. I know God now. As an atheist, you know, it's not only you don't believe Him, you don't know Him.
How many years ago was this that you came upon this?
When I stopped being an atheist?
Well, you know, I mean, this is a process, I'm sure, that leads up to you reaching out and finding this book.
Well, the only thing that could ever have caused me to stop being an atheist was to discover there is a God. And that's what happened.
So you, as a scientist, found God.
As a scientist, I found God within myself.
And did this book, this obviously...
I had no idea. I had no idea. The last thing in the world as an atheist that I was expecting to discover was God. And yet, this book now, this book is like a cosmology of God and the whole universe of infinity and everything in it.
Now,
so
this book is a lot, and you've been reading the book paper by paper to our community through the local Akaku here in Maui.
Right.
We really appreciate the Akaku television station. It's been a great blessing to all of us here. Thank you for the studio here today.
Truly.
And we have a great crew too. But you've been reading them and people then said, well, why don't you interview Jim? So I've been doing these interviews, and now, right outside here, we have people. We are simulating our call-in talk show because we're not broadcasting. We hope to do it in the evening and set up a regular schedule, but we wanted to do a call-in talk show. So we have people, and anyone that's passing by, and our crew, anyone, to ask questions of Reverend Kimmel, and I guess and me, but, you know, because this stuff stimulates a lot of things. Now, you talk about part 4 is Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
I would hope that anyone that's watching that's Christian might reach out and say, wow, there's more detail about Jesus? That would be interesting. And, you know, I grew up Jewish, and so I had a different experience in hearing about this. I really have been interested in learning, and it makes it much more real than my experiences when I've been just regular reading the Bible.
Yeah. Well, this book is to Christianity, is to the people of the world, actually, what Jesus was to the people of the world of his day. He was an epical revelation of God to man, and at the mentality of the stage of man at that point on our evolutionary scale. So a couple thousand years ago, it's pretty radically different than now. But this book is the equivalent of finding Jesus in his day, because this book reveals more than Jesus revealed during his
time
life.
Here.
Yeah. As revealed by the life and teachings that are given here.
When I've been reading, you know, I've heard some people say that Christians don't like to read outside their volume.
They're
and they
scared.
think that there's something that may hurt them. Anything I've been reading seems like it really enhances and gives more colors, like putting a little bit more color crayon on
well, more truth is what it's about, and they are very slow to accept anything that's new or different that rings their truth bell, perhaps, but it doesn't. It conflicts with their belief.
But now you've been teaching this and sharing it with people now, what, for 45 years?
45 years, yeah.
Okay, and I know that out here in our audience, we have people that are at all levels of awareness of this book. Are you open to taking calls? I know you are. That's why we're here.
Of course, anytime.
We hope that you'll, as we're talking, you'll call in and ask questions. This book, is it available online? It's available,
Yeah,
I know here's a big
online.
volume.
You can Google it. It's got all kinds of references and YouTube.
You like to say it's a book that's about everything. How do you say it?
It is. It's a cosmology. If Einstein had written the cosmology of the unified field equation, he would have said, "Here it is. This is it." But he died before he died the year this book was printed, and so what he was looking for was in a mathematical equation that would explain the existence of everything, everywhere, to everyone, forevermore. In other words, where did everything come from? He said everything's relative in infinity, but what's it relative to? Well, the answer is, of course, the source of everything. What's the source of everything? So even he, as a physicist, he was searching for God but didn't know it. As an atheist, and I'm searching for the source of truth, the more truth I can discover, the happier I'm getting. So like, I didn't know I had a spirit of truth in me. I didn't know I was a son of God. I had no idea the will of God was within me. And then one day, the spirit of truth in me revealed to me an equation that indicated, oh, there is a God, and this God is an infinite person, inherently eternal, inherently absolute. So everything starts out with him as an infinite person, and it really blew my mind, you might say.
So, was that when you came upon your unified field theory, or no? That was part of it.
That was February '69.
I see. So
before the book,
if I were to, I mean, this is a big book. I'm going to try to reduce it to 2 sentences. Give me your first hit. What's the most important thing about this book? What would be, if I were to leave a message?
It fills anybody who's looking for knowledge, wisdom, truth. It fills in all the missing links in the chain of anybody's understanding of how things have come to be the way they are, and then some. I mean, this is an epical revelation. God's given us the maximum that we can possibly comprehend as human beings.
A lot of people I've seen that have been reading the book start with part 4. I guess that's because it's most familiar, the characters and the setup.
Well, Jesus has been very misrepresented by Christianity.
Okay.
And God has been very misrepresented by all the religions. So Jesus and God and the devil being the most misrepresented personalities on the world, this book clarifies all of those personalities.
So let's ask our audience to call in. Let them kind of ask questions and kind of lead us on where in the book we want to go. You want to do that?
Fine.
I mean, I could start at some places, but let's reach out to our audience. Okay, all you out there who are calling, give us a question. We're going to pose it. This is like the Shell Answer Man. We're going to call this Reverend Jimmy Kimmel Live. You know, you've been doing this a long time, and
oh, okay.
I heard.
Hello?
Was that a caller?
Yes, it is.
Hi, aloha, caller.
Hi there.
Do you want to tell us your name? You don't have to if you want, but you're welcome to.
My name is Marilyn.
Hi, Marilyn. Aloha.
Hi.
Do you have any question here for Reverend Kimmel?
I do have a question. Where would one go to get this book? And do you have any kind of organized classes that you have to, like a study group?
Yeah, excuse me. As a matter of fact, the quickest and simplest way to get a copy of this book is online at Amazon.com. They mail it right to your home.
Okay.
And as far as classes are concerned, every Sunday morning at my place up in Lower Kula, we get together and read the book for a couple hours and have a little luncheon and so forth. So
that's great.
And I've seen discussions happen at coffee shops around the island, and maybe you might find this guy. I mean, this is a very approachable Jimmy Kimmel. Mm-hmm. There's a guy that you'll see on late night TV. He has the same name, but he is not as easily available. This guy's warm and fuzzy, and you can ask him questions live.
Yeah.
So have you studied the Rancher book at all? Have you ever looked at the book?
Not too much. It's very deep, and I guess you learn precept upon precept as you study and read.
You know what I found, Marilyn? I go online to Urantia, urantia.org, and there's the book. You can actually look at it online, make the print big. But there's a search feature which Internet provides us, which is something pretty special. And you can put in Jesus, or what about relationships, or whatever may be your interest and issue. Up it comes in this, I don't know what we call it, a concordex. It's sort of like a way of searching in the document. I found that to be a good way to get started. What do you think is a good way?
Any questions that anybody has about anything, that's the value of the law of the universe that says asking to receive. We don't know what we don't know. We all start out knowing nothing about everything. So to find out what we don't know, we have to ask questions.
And do you believe the Lord knows what we need before we ask?
Oh yeah, well he's quite frequently the source of the question that we ask. See, he's in us, and we're in him. We're branches on the vine, and his spirit of truth is in us. So
we're the posterity.
And we're talking to him at the same time. I'm talking to you and him at the same time. And so that's the beauty of it.
Thank you.
He sponsors the question and the answers.
That makes sense.
So, thank you, Marilyn. If you have any more questions, please feel free to call back. We're welcome your calls.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Aloha.
Aloha.
It's kind of a Prince of Peace enterprises, you might say.
Well, you know, you've said that. Jesus has been malaligned, that all religions might recognize Jesus, and not, the Christianity is, how you put it, a religion about Jesus, but it doesn't, how do you put it?
It's not the religion of Jesus. Christianity, all the different Christian churches, they're sects of a spiritually divided community. They're all different versions of one thing that isn't good enough for everybody. There's not a single church good enough for everybody. It doesn't matter what it is.
Is that another call coming in? That was maybe sooner. Maybe they got cut off.
Okay.
So this book, I mean, when I sit with you, I'm thinking, well, I've obviously gone through some of this with you. Jesus here on earth is actually who and how might we, it's very interesting to me, obviously, and need to grow into it conceptually, people. Jesus is Michael?
Yeah.
Take it.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, this is Ann.
Hi, Ann. How are you?
Great, how are you?
All right, we have a little bit of feedback. You have a question for Reverend Kimmel?
Yeah, I have two questions.
Okay.
The first one is, how can we more easily hear the truth in us, according to the Rancher book?
Okay.
Well, as long as you're listening, that's how you. Anytime you're listening for truth from wherever it comes. We're all branches on the same vine, so like, he reveals truth to all the branches, and if one branch reveals one bit of information to another, it's like we're directly connected to him, and so like.
Anything you direct her to in the book to focus more on that, about the spirit of truth?
Well, the spirit of there's a section in the book titled "The Bestowal of the Spirit of Truth,"
Okay.
And this is one of the most important things for people to understand and to know, is that we have the Spirit of the Prince of Peace, the Spirit of Jesus in us.
Okay.
Before Jesus was Jesus, he was the sovereign creator of our universe. Now we're sitting out here on the edge of the Milky Way galaxy. How did we come to be? How did we come to be out here? How did this solar system come into existence? How did everything that we're a part of, the Milky Way galaxy, how did it all come to be? Where did it come from? How did it get here?
So this book describes the Spirit of Truth and describes how we got here, and all that comes about that is in this book.
Yeah, see, part 2 is like Jesus before he's Jesus. It's about the sovereign of our universe. It's like the whole story of how our universe came to be. It's a glorious revelation.
Is there an introduction about Spirit of Truth? Ann was talking. I bet you could find Bestowal of the Spirit of Truth. What was it called?
Yeah, the bestowal of the Spirit of Truth is... what was that? Yeah, paper 194.
Paper 194. Okay, so in the 4th section. Okay.
Yeah, that's all about the bestowal of the Spirit of Truth on the day of Pentecost.
You've read me sections and shared with me sections about the setup, really understanding more in depth about Spirit of Truth, and you call it a thought adjuster. Is that, in directing Ann to kind of jump in, where do you think might be a good place for her to take a look in here?
Well, anywhere, really, doesn't really matter, wherever. She and the Spirit of Truth in her, looking through the index of the titles of the papers, you can't help but just looking at these titles.
That's a great answer, I think, Ann, is to look through and see what attracts you as a good place to start.
And realize that as you look at this, the titles of the life and teachings of Jesus, you have his Spirit of Truth in you. And as you read about him and his life, you'll be sharing that with him in you. So it's a very personal experience with the person we've known of as Jesus, only now we can know him as the Prince of Peace.
What I find good in what you're talking is also, I don't know if Ann be Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, Jesus as a being and who and what he is in relation to our world is far different than, I want to say, senior to Christianity, which is about him. This is actually the life and teachings and where it all came from.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And I guess, in my opinion, if whether or not people believe or know where it came from, there's great value in living as Jesus lived, and in caring and sharing and being much more involved in, in bringing up the love concept. Excuse me, I tapped my microphone. Sorry, group. Did that help the first question?
Yes, and I have 2 more questions.
Okay.
Good.
One is, does the Arantia books talk anything about the crop circle and about whether or not Jesus was married?
No, it doesn't talk anything about crop circles, and it does say, it reveals that Jesus was never married to anybody.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're more than welcome.
So he wasn't married to Mary Magdalene?
No.
Was there anything about Mary Magdalene in the book?
Oh yeah, for sure. She became one of the leading women apostles.
Ah, she became one of the leading women apostles.
She was the leading woman apostle.
Wow.
After she was discovered as...
When you read this, and I'm sure Ann will be, or anyone out here, do you find any conflict with Christianity, or this is just enhancing really more?
Well, it's more than Christianity has ever been exposed to. They've been exposed to what they know about Jesus from the Bible, or the different orders, the different kinds of Bibles.
Okay. And you had one more question?
Oh, no, that was it. Mary Magdalene was the third.
Okay. Mary Magdalene. I always, when I take a look and sit with you, I find that I come back to asking questions, social questions, a lot of things that people might ask. I'm curious to see what questions come from our audience, because we live in a very I don't know what it means, Judeo-Christian society. Is there anything about it that is in conflict with this? I don't think so, really.
Well, this is a revelation of knowledge, wisdom, and truth. And so, like, there are plenty of beliefs that may be in conflict with this revelation. This is a revelation, which is to say, most of it is beyond what we know.
Well, you know, as I'm sitting here with you, you know, I'm thinking to generate questions. You know, maybe our audience doesn't even know what to ask. So
it's the greatest manifestation of God in the physical level, as far as, hey, this should satisfy the mind and soul of any person on this planet that ever had any doubt about God.
I'm having trouble with my relationship. I'd like to know what kind of wisdom. Is that kind of question? Or what are we going to do to get more people involved in helping humanity and not being so selfish? Or where and how can people look at things in a new way? Is this a new way? Is this somehow, when I read it, it seems to be something that feels, it comes comfortably to me. But it seems that the world needs to learn more empathy. We had a director come here yesterday named William Gazecki, who's done a bunch of little, that's what Ann was talking about. That sounds like Ann from our crew, about crop circles. This guy done some short stuff, and he was talking about he's motivated with his documentaries because of a desire inside to reach out and find the world to be more empathetic, to have a little more feeling. Anything you might reference in here that might be good in that way? Do I hear another question? I don't. You know what's good about doing a call-in talk show demo? We get to work at all these bugs. We don't even know it's going to be, we might not even keep that section. We don't hear this. Anything that specific, Jim? You know, I can talk about stuff, but I want to give some meat to it. We're talking about empathy. Empathy,
yeah, well, again, the lack of empathy comes from lack of knowledge of what each individual in the whole world needs most to know, basically. Because without the knowledge of who we are, what we are, we can only understand others to the extent that we understand ourselves. So God knows us perfectly, so it's on us to learn how to know ourselves perfectly so we can understand others perfectly. So when I talk about religion, I often find that people don't, they separate their regular everyday life from their spiritual nature, you know, from their higher, more evolved, more empathetic nature. When you're talking about wanting to introduce Jesus as a Prince of Peace, what are you thinking? I mean, what was your thought? Well, that's who he is now. He's the Prince of Peace of our planet, of our world. Prince of Peace meaning an ambassador to encourage others to follow suit? The Prince of Peace is the bestowal Son of God to any world. Jesus, as a creator of our universe, he's known as a paradise creator son of God.
Okay.
He's number 611,121. He is one of over 700,000 paradise creator sons of God, who are the ones, they're the fathers, they're the creators of the local universes that make up, like the whole Milky Way galaxy is made up of 100,000 local universes.
Wow.
So
I have a question.
I hear a question.
Yes.
Hi, who's this?
This is Marilyn again.
Oh, hi, Marilyn.
Hi. I'm wondering if Reverend Kimmel could address, does his book talk about the second coming of the Savior?
well, the second coming is a kind of a touchy subject in a lot of ways, because in many ways he returned to this world as the Spirit of truth, as he was bestowed on the day of Pentecost in
This is 2,000 years ago,
AD
right?
30, right?
Okay.
So he's been a part of the inner life of every human being that's come to exist on this world. Like I say, he's the vine and we're the branches. I mean, every human being in the world from the time of Pentecost until now, they are indwelt. You are indwelt by the vine, by the Spirit of truth, in the Spirit. So you're in him, he's in you.
So on a spiritual level, there's a little of Jesus in all of us. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, there's like a Jesus gene or the Spirit of truth.
Okay.
So we can always figure out what he would do or what he would say in whatever situation you may find yourself.
I have another question.
Well, at the same time, the second coming, he did promise to return, but he didn't say when or in what connection or anything. So, like, that's up in the air. I never talk about it because it's not. He's already here, in my estimation.
So that's an interesting point. So the second coming, in your idea, is that Jesus is in all of us, so he's already here.
He's a natural part of us.
And many people are expecting to ride down, I don't know, from a chariot or somehow be in the sky.
No,
but
he's inside each of us. I discovered him inside me when I was about 6 years old. I had to have my tonsils taken out, so they gave me ether, and I came to after that, and I says to my mother, "Oh, Mama, I want to grow up and be just like Jesus."
Oh, yeah.
So,
Does your book talk about the Holy Ghost?
oh yeah, the Holy Ghost, the so-called Holy Ghost, is the Holy Spirit of the divine minister of our local universe. The Holy Spirit is the daughter of our Creator Mother. Our Creator Mother is the associate of our Creator Father. And these are the co-sovereigns of the local universe of Nebadon that we are in. So she give us our mind, our Mama give us the mind with all the different mind spirits of intuition and knowledge and counsel and comfort and wisdom and so forth. And the Father of all of us gives us a fragment of his own will to be the Father of our soul. So we end up becoming partners with God in the co-creation of ourselves as sons and daughters of God.
Well, I mean, that looks like your bumper sticker.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
Well, thank you for calling in, Marilyn. We hope that you will take a look and stay with us as we keep doing more shows, and invite everyone to come and look and listen.
Sure.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Aloha.
Bye.
Aloha.
Jim, I'm looking for something to sink my teeth into, you know, like, because I see different sections of this book. We brought some pictures of Paradise Center, Hawaii? paradise center of a universe, which again, you can probably explain it. There's another picture of how it relates to a number of universes and how it relates to an even grander master universe.
Yeah.
Talk about feeling insignificant. I guess we're significant because we're all parts of something great together, huh?
Well, we're parts of a whole. We are an integral and natural part of an infinite whole. So
if you're hurting, I'm hurting. So all our brothers and sisters together, right? Isn't that what we're talking? Intergalactically?
well, we all share the same environments, basically. We're all different versions of the same thing.
So now this, we have some stills. Can you run us through this? You start with...
Well, the first panel shows paradise.
That's the big, I'm going to let our group know. I think we have them numbered 1 to 4. This is the first one, huh?
Yeah, paradise is the geographic center of infinity.
Okay.
And it is in and of itself an infinite, absolute, and an eternal reality. It's one of 7 absolutes of infinity.
And it happens to be here in Hawaii?
No, good heavens, no.
Where is it?
Paradise is the geographic center of infinity. We're out here on the edge of the Milky Way galaxy.
So where is the center of infinity?
If you looked at the next section,
Picture number 2.
you're looking at the central universe, the eternal core of the eternal universe, which consists of 1 billion perfect worlds.
Wow.
1 billion perfect worlds. And they're all enshrouded with these counter-moving belts of dark gravity bodies that prevent our being able to see the central universe from where we're at.
So perfect world meaning capable to accommodate life? What do you mean?
Well, they've been accommodating life forever. This is an eternal universe. It's the central universe. It's an eternal core.
I see.
Now, the universes of time and space are beyond this central core.
Wow, that's quite a concept to grasp.
And so in the next picture, you see...
Number 3.
You see 7 big galaxies that are going around this eternal central core.
Wow.
So we're out here in the Milky Way galaxy, out on the edge of the Milky Way galaxy.
So right where the arrow is, I'm trying to reference in the picture there.
Right.
So we're at the edge of the one of these galaxies that's at the edge. Wow.
Yeah, and so we're going around and around and around and around. So
and that's not even it, right? There's another 4th picture?
That's the grand universe. That's known as the grand universe.
I see.
All the universes of time and space come into existence at the same time the 7 absolutes of infinity actualized, so to speak.
And then there's a master universe, which is...
The master universe goes beyond the perimeter of the grand universe. There are 4 outer space levels.
Wow.
Made up of hundreds of millions of galaxies that are evolving and getting prepared for future occupation by future sons and daughters of God.
So it's when you look at it this way and see this kind of perspective, those that were standing on Earth and thinking they were the only ones, or as we like to think of that we can conquer this universe and go to another planet and take over. Well, that's another subject that we could talk about. We want to mix our plate. If you have a question, please call 873-3430, area code 808-873-3430. I think that as I'm sitting here, the scope of this is so large. I know as I was beginning to find out about the Urantia book with you and explore it, I felt a little vague and I couldn't kind of put my finger on things, but I felt comfortable so far focusing on the good works of Jesus, and I learned more about John the Baptist than I ever really knew about, and he had apostles too.
Who did Jesus talk about? Who did Jesus teach about? Who was the subject of his revelation to the people of his day?
Is this a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, who was it?
God. The Father. His prayer says, "Our Father who is in heaven, hallowed be your name." So God is his Father as well as our Father. So he was a revelation of our Father to everybody in our whole universe, to all the different human beings on all the different worlds.
Whether anyone believes it or not. And but the thing about Jesus, I think another interesting, I don't know, I'm hoping that we'll get some more calls but to see what questions you have. But I would like to think that when Jesus came back to his disciples, I mean, I thought that was interesting when talking to you. Jesus physically was back, but he was at a different level of physical?
After his resurrection?
Yeah.
Definitely he was on a different level. He was on the super-physical level of Morantia existence.
I see. Is that discovered? I mean, where in the book do I find more about that? Because that's intriguing.
Well, this, there are sections in here on Morantia, all kinds of Morantia information. So,
which is in the first 3 sections where you're talking about?
First two sections mostly. It's the between the purely physical level of existence and the purely spiritual level of existence. There's an in-between zone, so to speak, of partly material, partly spiritual. Is Morantia. It's like they have 100 elements of Morantia material, like we have 100 elements of physical material. So like the soul that we're evolving right now is made of Morantia materials.
Wow.
The body that we'll be occupying on the next level on the next planet that we occupy, after our death, we resurrect on one of the resurrection worlds, the mansion world, and everything's that you're at the same place spiritually, but you're in a new form. You give up this
There's
space.
There's a lot of information here. As I'm listening, I'm thinking, this is 45 years worth of study.
Yeah.
Did it slowly grow on you? You've read this quite a few times, I'm sure.
Over and over. I haven't stopped. It's pretty much a continuous thing because it integrates everything. It's the unifier of all the knowledge and the wisdom and the faith of all the different people that have gone before us and contributed anything to this. This is not a single author revelation. There's a lot of human beings, over 1,000 human beings that contributed to thought that's in here. So it pays homage to all the God-seeking people of the period from the times of Jesus to now.
If I were to say, what's the most important thing about this? I know we're going to be talking and picking on different sections and encouraging audience participation in the future, but where would you say is a place for people to begin? I mean, I go like this and open to a page, but again,
you can open it anywhere, and it's a revelation of new information.
And
so like I say,
purpose, what's the reason this is important to our viewers and for everyone?
The reason this book is important, the reason this book is here is what's of primary importance, really. Some people that have been into this book for a long time have suggested that this book is here ahead of its time, and that what they're waiting for is the conflagration that's on the threshold of humanity right now, whereas we're looking at the potentials of group extinction as contrasted with the potentials of group survival.
Yeah.
So if this book is for after that, I don't...
There may not be an after that we know.
That's the problem. That's the problem. I maintain it has been given to us to educate us with as much knowledge and understanding about everything we need to know to prevent the inevitable destruction of humankind by other humans before it's too late.
Gotcha.
So now, if you ask God a question, okay, well, what's the most important thing for us to know about if we want world peace?
Yeah.
And this is from the life and teachings of Jesus, his 16th appearance after his resurrection. He tells his apostles, I admonish you ever to remember that your mission among men is to proclaim the gospel of the kingdom, the reality of the fatherhood of God, and the truth of the sonship of man. Proclaim the whole truth of the good news, not just a part of the saving gospel. Your message is not changed by my resurrection experience. Sonship with God by faith is still the saving truth of the gospel of the kingdom. You are to go forth preaching the love of God and the service of man. That which the world needs most to know is men are the sons of God, and through faith they can actually realize and daily experience this ennobling truth.
Well, that's very powerful. That's paper 193. Okay.
Paper 193.
You know,
that which the world needs most to know as it comes from the creator of our universe, our old human brother, the Prince of Peace, all the same person. As far as it's our basic cosmic identity.
If it's okay with you, I'm gonna send these guys home wherever I'm looking. I think over here. I'm gonna send you guys home with a little bit of homework, because next time we get together, we'd like you to have questions based on you going through the Urantia book and finding things that are interesting to you, that you may look for some insights and ways of tying it together. We want to thank you for joining us today. Anything that's important that you know you want to cover, we could talk about so many different things. And we're going to be doing a series of these shows, and I know this is part of an even broader vision because, as you know, there's visual art and healing art and music and culture and spirituality and all of it together. And we're building a world of inclusiveness. And
yeah, it's good enough for everybody.
This is a great thing for the world to know, that we're all brothers and sisters, and that we all should be, I mean, your email address, peaceinc@maui.net, huh?
Right.
You were Peace Inc. for a long time, weren't you? In San Francisco?
Peace Inc. was a nonprofit 501c3 we had in San Francisco back in the early 90s.
I see.
And brought it out here for a while and kept it going for a while, but then after I became a Hawaiian national, I just let it slide.
Well, I'm happy you came here to do this show with me, and I am really looking forward to our audience and you and me getting together, and we're going to be promoting this so people know it's on. You are an ambassador of peace. You know, sometimes you're very colorful and you use words that, you know, sometimes people have to dig and find out you're really a gentleman, Jim. I've appreciated everything that you've done, and I'm happy to help you bring this message, because it's a message whatever religion we are, whatever groups we are, the power of all knowing and recognizing that we together, that's the whole thing, you know?
Big time.
Thing. Well, thank you all for joining us. We are getting to a close. I guess we're going to be over here. Right over here. Let's make sure to say goodbye to everyone. Thank you for joining us. We hope that you will join us again soon and call in and be part of Reverend Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Looking forward to seeing you next time.
Thank you, Jim. Aloha. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Well, you know what? Here we are. Look at them there. Thank you, guys.
Really? Really?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Was it all right?
Thank you,
That
Tom.
was beautiful. Excellent. Excellent, excellent.